And we appreciate the progress that was made by American and Ukrainian teams in these recent weeks. Special thanks to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and thank you for their engagement and full commitment, and also to our team, and first of all to Rustem Umerov and General Gnatov, and to all our teams. And we discussed all the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and US-Ukraine security guarantees 100% agreed. US-Europe-Ukraine security guarantees almost agreed. Military dimension 100% agreed. Prosperity plan being finalized, and we also discussed the sequencing of the following actions. And we agree that security guarantees is the key milestone in achieving lasting peace, and our teams will continue working on all aspects. We also had a joint productive call with European leaders, like President Trump said already, and a lot of leaders, including NATO and the EU. And we agreed that our teams will meet in upcoming weeks to finalize all discussed matters, and we agreed with President Trump that he will host us, and maybe in Washington, European leaders and Ukrainian delegation, yes, in January. And Ukraine is ready for peace. And once again, would like to thank President Trump for a warm welcome and substantial discussion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Any questions, please?
We've heard some digits from President Zelensky, 90%, 100%. The U.S. Ukraine security guarantees, what number are we at right now?
Well, I think look, you can say 95%, but I don't like to say percentages. I just think we're doing very well. We could be very close. There are one or two very thorny issues, very tough issues, but I think we're doing very well. We made a lot of progress today, but really we've made it over the last month. This is not a one-day process deal. This is very complicated stuff, but I think when the president says 95, I think, could be close to 95%. Yeah, please, behind you.
Mr. President, have you agreed on the so-called free trade zone on Donbass? How to separate the sites? How to make the separation line? Who will be responsible?
The word agreed is too strong. I would say not agreed, but we're getting closer to an agreement on that, and that's a big issue. Certainly, that's one of the big issues, and I think we're closer than we were probably. It's unresolved, but it's getting a lot closer. That's a very tough issue, but one that I think will get resolved. Yeah, please.
We are receiving some mixed signals coming from Moscow, even after you spoke with President Putin. Can you assure us that you have received written or any formal response from them?
Well, what was the issue? You have to tell me. What did they say?
So they are telling that Ukraine has to give up Donbass. Just very recent statement coming out.
Well, that's what they've been asking for, and there's a dispute about that, so they're going to have to iron that out. That's an issue they have to iron out. But I think it's moving in the right direction.
If they reject or delay the solution or peace agreement that you try to achieve,
if something doesn't happen, you mean if something doesn't happen? Yeah, go ahead.
May I ask?
No, go ahead. You were going to finish your question.
Will there be any step that the United States be prepared?
Well, we'll see. Look, we'll see. But I don't want to talk about that because I think we're getting pretty close. Yes, please.
May I ask the President of Ukraine
please.
about territorial question? Mr. President, what is your take on Donbas status? Are you prepared to see it as a free economic or demilitarized zone?
No, we spoke about 20 points plan, and I'm happy that really our teams very close to results, and I agree with President Trump that our teams worked not one day and not one week, more than 1 month, beginning from Geneva, then 2 meetings in Miami, then we had Berlin, and now we have Mar-a-Lago. So this is a very difficult question. You know our position, so it's we have to respect our law and our people, and we respect the territory which we control. And of course, our attitude is very clear. That's why President Trump said this is a very tough question, and of course we have with Russians different positions on it.
And have you discussed referenda about?
When we speak about referendum, we spoke that it's one of the key. We can have referendum on any kind of points of this plan. I said that we can use referendum like for the plan, or we cannot use referendum. It's one of the key. We can use, this possibility of parliament to vote according to the law or to have referendum. Doesn't matter. This referendum, if the plan will be very difficult for our society, very difficult, of course our society has to choose and has to vote, because it's their land, the land not of one person, it's the land of our nation for a lot of generations.
They'll probably have to get their plan approved by Parliament or by referendum of the people. You would think that they want, I know they had a poll that it's 91% in favor of ending this war, so they want to end it like everybody wants. Russia wants it ended, everybody wants it ended, and we want it ended. I want it ended because I don't want to see so many people dying. We're losing massive numbers of people, the biggest by far since World War II. So we want to see it ended, absolutely.
President
Yes.
Trump, you said at the top that you plan to speak again tomorrow. Is that correct?
I might. It depends on what happens tomorrow. If there's an additional something to add, otherwise there's no reason to. We're in the process. Jared and Steve are working very hard to get something done, and if there's something that comes up, I'd speak, but otherwise I don't think there's any reason to.
In your mind, sir, what are the thorniest issues still unresolved after the?
Well, I think the land you're talking about, some of that land has been taken. Some of that land is maybe up for grabs, but it may be taken over the next period of a number of months, and you're better off making a deal now. Look, let me tell you, they have been very brave. They fought very hard and continue to fight very hard and do tremendous damage. But Russia would like to see it end, and Ukraine would like to see it. And I think it's time to end. And a lot of very brave people, a lot of people that are dead right now, unfortunately, because I've said, and nobody's disputed it, that if the election weren't rigged and stolen, 2020, you wouldn't have had this war. It would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. Never was even thought to happen. And I spoke with President Putin. I got along with him very well, despite the Russia hoax, which was a total hoax. He used to say, what is going on over there? But it was a total hoax, as he knew and as I knew. But I spoke to him, and we'd talk about Ukraine. I've said it before. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything about it. He didn't do anything about it until I was gone, and then a lot of really bad statements were made by people, by a lot of people, I guess, but by a certain president that we had who was a disaster.
Mr.
Yes.
President, do you anticipate going to Ukraine if you can get to an agreement? And I know
I'd
you
have no
said
problem
earlier,
with doing it. I have no problem with doing it. Don't anticipate it. Would like to get the deal done and not necessarily have to go. I've offered to go and speak to their parliament. And, if that would help, I don't know if that would help. I think it would probably help, but I don't even know if that's...
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I know.
Always.
So I'm not sure that it would be really necessary, but if it would help save 25,000 lives a month or whatever it may be, I would certainly be willing to do that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President.
No, behind you.
And how about
Where are you from?
from Ukraine?
Good, I had a feeling.
Public broadcaster.
Good.
And how about Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant? Have you discussed this question?
When what?
Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant.
Yeah, we discussed that at length today. As you know, it's in pretty good shape. It can start up immediately, almost immediately. And it's one of the things I discussed with President Putin. And they were talking about the nuclear plant. It's probably the biggest in the world, just about the biggest anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? And President Putin's actually working with Ukraine on getting it open. President Putin was close, and he wasn't. You saw that in the White House. But I think they both want to see it happen.
Mr.
President
President,
Trump,
in your
President
conversation
Trump,
with...
you're saying that you've said multiple times that you want to stop the killing, and nearly 100 American citizens died in Ukraine on the battlefield. What's your message to their families whose loved ones died fighting for
Well, look, the message is so obvious. It's what a shame. They died in a foreign country, and some are celebrated people. They're very celebrated, but so sad that a thing like that would happen. Yes, ma'am.
President Trump, obviously security is a major issue for the Ukrainians.
Right.
Did you offer any promises, any assurances today?
Well, I did. We want to work with Europe, and Europe is going to take over a big part of it, as you can imagine. You know, they're right there. But we're going to help Europe 100%, like they'd help us. Yes, ma'am, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, when your conversation...
Who are you with?
Andrea Shalal with Reuters.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So in your conversation with President Putin, did you discuss what responsibility Russia will have for any kind of reconstruction of Ukraine post an agreement?
I did.
And
they're going to be helping. Russia's going to be helping. Russia wants to see Ukraine succeed. Once, it sounds a little strange, but I was explaining to the president, President Putin was very generous in his feeling toward Ukraine succeeding, including supplying energy, electricity, and other things at very low prices. So a lot of good things came out of that call today. But they were in the works for 2 weeks with Steve and with Jared and Marco and everybody.
Did Russia agree, or did Putin agree to a ceasefire to allow a referendum to take place?
Not a ceasefire, and that's one of the points that we're working on right now. No, not a ceasefire. He feels that, look, you know, they're fighting and to stop, and then if they have to start again, which is a possibility, he doesn't want to be in that position. I understand that position. The president feels strongly about that or something, but I think we're finding ways that we can get around that. But I understand President Putin from that standpoint. You know, you have to understand the other side. And, you know, I'm on the side of peace. I'm on the side of stopping the war. So, but I think that's a problem that's going to get solved. Yeah.
Would people who live outside of Ukrainians who fled during the war be allowed to participate in the referendum?
What do you mean, people where live?
The people that left.
So the people we have, you know, if we speak about the people who are abroad, who are not on the territory of Ukraine, you mean that in Poland, in Germany, we have millions of people. Yeah, they have a referendum in the same of elections. The same way how people come and vote, they have rights for this, and of course they have to come. That's why if we will come to referendum, yes, if we will come to such decision, people need infrastructure for this, and it's not simple. And that's why we spoke about it. It can't be in one day, very quickly. It's difficult because we need infrastructure. When you have millions of people, you have to build it in Europe, mostly in Europe for today.
President Trump, I know you've sounded an optimistic note here, but what happens in a few weeks if things sputter? What are you prepared to do?
They keep fighting, and they keep dying. No good. But if things don't happen, they keep fighting, and they keep dying. And we don't want that to happen. He doesn't want it to happen. President Putin doesn't want it to happen either. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
अमरीकी और यूक्रेनी सदूर की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस जारी थी। सदर ज़ेलेंस्की ने कहा अमरीकी सदर से जंगबंदी की तजावीज़ पर मुफीद बातचीत हुई।